Restaurant Unstoppable. Inspire, empower, and transform the industry.
At first, it seems like a great idea to have a sign, right? Like, oh, this is going to be awesome. But then you have to realize that's just one more thing you got to do every day, right? That isn't just as easy as flipping a switch or locking the door, or like it's not a checklist item because it's witty, it's smart. It's like, so my question was, how do you keep up with it? Like, how do you create systems around that? And it sounds like you make it the last item on the checklist.
Well, so that's how it was. Now the staff is always welcome to contribute to it in the store, but they don't. That's not their responsibility. We have a team of people that work for the products company, and one person is kind of runs the brand partnerships and the content, and we have a team of us on a text message chain. And so something weird will happen, and then somebody will text a news article out to the sign group, and then it'll just get knocked around. So like when Whataburger got fully bought by the Chicago private equity company, right? Somebody posted that article to the group, and then for like an hour it was just nonstop Whataburger Chicago jokes. Until like what finally came out was, "Dear Chicago, if you hurt her, we'll kill you." And it was like from the Big Brother approach, like, we love Whataburger. It's a Texas thing. If you hurt it, we'll kill you.
Yeah.
And it was super fun, and it was witty, and it was authentic and genuine, and it worked, right? And it was like one of our top performing signs ever. And so you have a process there, but really what it came to was, it would get out of line a lot because there was no guidelines. And so what one person's like funny is somebody else's like, hey, that's like really gross, or that's really misogynistic, or like, and so
anything.
And so we was like, look, we had to start developing these content guidelines that were really, so people think, oh, it's a sign. You're like, yeah, it's a physical metal and plastic sign with paint on it. But the reason it works is because it has an authentic brand voice. And we develop, it's got to make people smile. It's got to connect with them genuinely. It's got to elicit emotions that they're going to connect with. And sometimes it's very reverent, right? So if something bad happens, like oftentimes we'll point to it, but we always try to address it in like a very poignant way that's going to elicit thought and not drive negativity.
Yeah, it's clever. It's just you guys, you can tell you put a lot of thought into it, and like, and I was really impressed by us. How are these guys like have one zinger after the next zinger after the next zinger? I was like, I couldn't, like, if you wanted to, like, that's a huge undertaking. I feel like to be able to, once you start that, to be able to, the pressure to keep that up, that's got to be hard. And it sounds like the reason why you're able to do it is because it's not just one person that's doing it. You have a whole team. This is the power of like a mastermind, right? Now you get to tap into all these minds, getting creative, people making suggestions. So it's not just one person. Yeah, it's everybody.
And a lot of them we come up with, and a lot of them are user submitted now. So we've encouraged our audience over the years to send ideas in, and a lot of them are now like really funny.
I love it, but that's even better because now you're bringing your community in on it, and you're getting a sense of ownership. So if somebody who loves your brand, who also has a big following, sends you a one-liner that makes it to the board, now they're going to push that, and that it's going to get even more exposure, and that's how you get viral,
Yeah, like one of the submissions this last week was "Mi casa es su casa, but mi taco es mi taco."
Yeah, I think the one that I saw that I think was one that was one of your favorites is if somebody tells you that they're a vegan and a CrossFitter, what do they talk about first?
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
That was one of the best.
That was so good. But at the same time, what you're sharing with us isn't just rules for a signboard. These are basic social media rules for outsource and doing social media and having what you call the content guidelines. That's like what you're giving us now for advice is the same advice that you can apply to all social media, and it's a great advice. Like, who are we? What is our brand? What are we trying to communicate? These are the guidelines. This is the voice. Like, don't go outside of these boundaries and have fun and bring people in on it.
Yeah, we try to coach people that, like, if they want to talk about it, we try to coach them like the El Arroyo book, for instance. The author of the El Arroyo book is S. Arroyo, because everybody was like, who's writing the signs? What's happening? It's like, well, it's easier to just create like this identity. And so S. Arroyo could be Senor Arroyo, Senorita Arroyo, Senor Arroyo. Nobody knows who it is, right? Yeah. But we've created this kind of identity, and that identity has a voice, right? And all brands have a voice, and
Yep.
some brands are really good at communicating their voice, and others struggle because they're always searching for that zinger, that moment that will make it pop and stand out. But it's just like in restaurants, right? You'll go to a restaurant with food that's okay as long as it's consistently okay, rather than a place the food is amazing one day and crap the next day, right? Consistency is what they're buying expectations that you're meeting.
Yep.
And so creating a voice for your brand is the most important thing people can do, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like people are like, "Oh, I'm going to go on a retreat and sit down and write a mission statement." Like, maybe you can do it that way. It normally evolves, right? But like, what's important to you, and what shows through in your brand, and what makes your brand feel good to the people who are buying your products and services? And it's like a lot less complicated than it gets made out to be. It's just being thoughtful and introspective about what it is that people actually connect with in your business.
I love that, man. Any other big lessons from El Arroyo that were unique to this restaurant or takeover? I don't want to say opening because you took it over. Actually, I did have a question. The sign existed before you owned it, right?
Yeah, since 1987.
Was this a new thing that you started to do, or was it like, did you take the sign to the next level?
Yeah, so we developed the content guidelines around it and created voice for it. And so it had the sign was there, and they always did. And they had a few formats of different signs. They do some acronyms with funny words after them. They do some call-outs. Art for people and stuff. We focused on making it something. It was really about creating that voice. People had to connect with it. It had to be genuine and authentic. And generally speaking, it had to build people up and make them feel good. And so we wanted people to smile when they saw it, but like a real smile, like the smiles that well up inside you, not a cheesy, corny, or never at someone else's expense unless it's a politician who really asked for it. Like, for instance, our mayor in Austin, we're an equal opportunity, right? Yeah. So our mayor in Austin, like, went to Cabo, like, had like a 200-person wedding and then flew to Cabo and did some deal where he told everybody to stay home and be safe in small gatherings. Yeah. And then, like, I think when all the freezes were happening in Texas, Cruz went to Mexico, and so we did like for Cruz we did like cold ? Just cruise to Mexico, spelled CRUZ, or cruise down to Mexico, and then for the mayor Adler, it was like
But it's so smart. Sorry, I'm cutting you short.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you remember it? Do you want to get it out?
Yeah, it was something like private. It was like politicians be like, stay home unless you have a private plane.
But these politically charged opportunities, I'm gonna call it, that's what they are. They're opportunities to catch a wave that people that's buzzworthy right now or trending now. And I don't know whether it's a hashtag, like you can use all these opportunities to like hit your bandwagon to these things that are happening online, and you just pay attention to that. And I'm sure that served you guys so well, like, and it's politics. I mean, they're big punching bags. They're a fair game.
Well, it's like a conversation too. Like if you're having a conversation with somebody, you talk about current events, right?
Yeah.
So the sign's the same way. Like we have a schedule of a couple weeks of signs that go out. But then something will happen, and like during the ice storms, it was all ice storm stuff the whole time, right? Yeah. And so like one of them was like, and they're generally margarita or queso themes. They tie to the Tex-Mex.
Okay.
So it was like the best way to thaw out snow is with what was it? Tequila, lime, and a little salt, right?